And we're live. Hi. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Jordan Toronto, and this is Discover Me TV live streamed in quarantine, lots of caveats, with the wonderful Bruce Kiesling, who has his own awesome YouTube channel, which helps us all do a little music appreciating. Yay.
Hopefully. Well, thanks so much for having me, Jordan. Certainly, I've seen your channel grow, and it's been great to see that. And so I was really flattered when you said that you invited me to participate and be on one of your episodes too. So it's been a lot of fun to do all these. So thanks.
Yay. And maybe you told me, but tell anyone who might be watching, who's that cutie pie right behind you?
This is Nina. We have 3 dogs. So we have three generations. They're not related, but we have Grandma. You can kind of see a corner of her there sleeping. Our chocolate lab. Her name's Teddy. And then the one you're seeing back there is Nina. And we have a newish puppy. We have a quarantine puppy, as so many do. And his name is Rex, and he's sleeping here. So we don't disturb him when he sleeps, since it's very rare. He'll probably make an appearance though.
Yes, all right. And what is he? Is he named after anybody significant to you?
Well, actually, his full name is Tyrannosaurus Rex, COVID Avenger. So
that's an excellent name.
So, but we just call him Rex for short, because that's a mouthful, you know.
Indeed, that's a beautifully named quarantine puppy. And wait, who's Nina named after, you were telling me?
Oh yeah, the singer. She's named after the singer Nina Simone, who's a personal favorite of ours, especially my husband. He loves her. So, yes,
I love it. Yay, that's so awesome. That's so fun. My daughter would be very jealous of your 3 when we have 0, but we do have somebody allergic to dogs. So
yeah. But you know, they say, what do you call it? There's hypoallergenic dogs. So.
Yeah, I know. So we could try it out. I'm always trying to figure out how in the world we could do that to make sure safely. But maybe there is a way. I think
a Labradoodle. I think those are. Aren't they?
I think there are any like oodles.
Yeah, I think there are oodles of doodles that are supposedly, I'm told, don't shed.
Certainly better for yeah.
Oh, exactly.
So sweet. So we go back to University of Michigan days from
absolutely
moons ago. Wait, so tell me about, because now I feel silly that I don't know this, but what did you particularly, were you a music major? I mean, were you like a plain old
at school, I was actually a musical theater major.
You were a musical theater major.
Yeah, so we were in the same program.
And I was
but I kind of like went a different route after like the first year or so in the traditional program. And one of the great things, I mean, I'm a big supporter and fan of the University of Michigan, and particularly the School of Music. And one of the reasons is because they gave me an enormous amount of leeway, and I kind of went in and said I was definitely interested in musical theater, but also interested in some other things, you know, piano and conducting and music directing. And so they really permitted me to design my own degree around so I actually have I believe this is still true, the only person ever to graduate with a degree in music directing and vocal coaching of musical theater from the university. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so neat.
Yeah, it was really great of them to be flexible enough to do that. And they really supported me, whatever. I remember talking to Brent Wagner, who runs the program there, and he said to me, you know, I feel like you're in the right field. I just don't know if you're doing the right part of it.
And that's really, really good, actually. Yeah. Like, how wonderful that you weren't just sort of shepherded into like, so you're based here.
Yeah, totally. And in fact, you know, I was studying voice at the time with Karen Likes, if you remember. She was one of the voice teachers.
I remember Karen Likes. She was my voice teacher at one point. Yeah.
Yeah, she was wonderful. And I remember she was the one who said, you need to take conducting and take Jerry Blackstone's class. And that really kind of put, like, that one comment from her kind of really, my whole, I think, career and life turned on a moment like that. You know, when you have teachers, and she just thought she was giving some good advice. You know, she wasn't like, I'm going to put Bruce on the right career path forever. But I think she just thought, oh, you should do this. And a powerful word from a music educator, or any educator, I think, it really, when I look back on that, I remember thinking, oh, well, I should do that because she said it. And, you know, I think we all have moments like that where we had an educator do something intentionally or not. You know, sometimes you go for that. I'm going to teach a big lesson here.
Right.
But sometimes it's not even that. It's just, you know, you kind of throw something out, and then, but that student will remember something you said years later, as if I'll never forget you said that to me. You know?
That's incredible. I mean, did did she notice that that might be something that you might be drawn to, or she just sort of threw it out like, you know what you might like?
Right. Well, I said I was in, when I was doing this, I was taking more theory and
Oh,
composition,
right, right,
and she was like, "Yeah, you should take conducting and take Jerry's class." And I was really lucky that year because normally Jerry didn't even teach undergrad conducting or only one semester of it, but
oh my
that one year he taught the whole year, and I think that's the only time he ever did that.
God. Again,
And
meant to be sounding very coincidental.
exactly. And I will say not only myself, but there were several of us in that class who have gone on to, careers, et cetera. And when we have run into each other, sometimes we've said, gosh, I feel so lucky to have had that teacher for that whole year because that foundation like
Wow.
really laid a sort of bedrock of really great technique and really great teaching that I mean I had some other really influential teachers
Yeah,
after that, of course,
sure.
but that sort of fundamental
That was like
basis,
the foundation.
I feel so lucky to have had that for sure.
Wow. Who else are there any other people that are doing sort of similar paths to you later in life or in your same class
Well,
around this?
in the music, David Kirschenbaum he was ahead of me. So he was a composer. And I remember like being so blown away by the show that he did, which is called Better All the Time.
Oh my
When I was like a freshman, I think I saw that and was just so blown away, not only by the quality of it, but just that, a college student was able to put that on. And
God.
so that was very inspiring. And because of that, Eddie Sugarman and I wrote a show a couple years later that we kind of, I think we both saw that and we're like, I think Eddie was in that show. Actually, Eddie was in David's show.
Oh,
So,
and then together
so
you're like, "Ooh, we're gonna do something."
yeah, so we started writing some things together, and that was just an incredible opportunity. And I was very lucky because when I moved to Los Angeles, I was here maybe for a year, and then I actually was out having dinner with a friend, and this person was setting up to be the entertaining entertaining singer at this restaurant,
Oh.
and was uh was literally setting up to like sing a foot from us. And so we started sort of, bantering a little with them, like this, do you want us to move? Like, this is gonna be really awkward. You're like right here, right?
We're like
And,
really front row, like
exactly. And then he went over to the wait station or something and got a cup of tea, and he had a Michigan mug on with it. And so I said to my friend, so do you think that guy went to Michigan, or that's just totally random that they happen to have a mug? And the singer heard me say that and was like, "Oh, did you go to Michigan?" And so we started chatting, and that was Darren Chris,
no.
who, yeah. So we started chatting, and a couple weeks later, I emailed him because I needed a singer for a Nutcracker project I was working on, a musical. And long story short, he ended up hiring me as the music director for the Harry Potter sequel. So
No
I went,
way.
yeah. So I went back all because we met that night, and he was like, "Oh, I'm looking for somebody." Darren Rudd doesn't read music, and so, but he's an incredibly talented composer. And so Darren would write. He would like sing, make recordings of songs, and send them to me, and I would sort of write the music and then teach it to the rest of the cast.
Oh my god.
So it was
That's
great to work
inspiration
with him.
to
Yeah,
any of us who may say, "Oh, I could never because of X, Y, and Z." It does prove to you you can
absolutely.
make it work.
You
And
can make it work for sure. And, even like Lucy Simon, who wrote The Secret Garden, she doesn't read or write music. So she would sing them into an arranger too. So there's a long tradition of that, certainly. And, Darren is one of the most talented people I've ever met in my life,
oh,
who
that is
just has,
cool.
yeah, an incredible gift. So small world wherever, to run into people here in LA who are
Michigan
Michigan
connection.
people. They're everywhere. They're everywhere.
They're everywhere in a good way. Oh, my mom's watching us, and she said, "Yay for teachers, inspirational." Because you were talking about how that one kind of comment of somebody when they just throw something out there. She's been a teacher. She was a teacher for like, how long were you a teacher, Mom? We've gone over like 30 years or something. Like she taught
Oh,
most.
wow.
Yeah, but it's true. It's true.
It really is, and that if
Teacher capacity.
go ahead, I interrupted you. Go
No,
ahead.
no, no, it's okay. I know. I was just going to say, even if you're not in a teacher capacity, sometimes even just like to a friend or someone else's kid or something, it's remarkable how like a few things stay with us, and the good ones are so valuable.
Totally.
Even the not
Well,
so good ones maybe are
yeah,
their memory.
exactly.
Like
Right,
a
right.
comment from
Although I will say that that same teacher that was recommended to me, like 2 years later, I remember him Jerry Blackstone introducing me to another conductor there, and he was like, "Oh, have you met Bruce? Bruce is going to be a great conductor someday."
Oh,
And truly, that was a moment I think he just tossed off. He was just being like, "Oh, da, 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 da." But I heard that and was like, "Oh, wow." Like, maybe I could do this.
wow.
And
Seriously. I-
so I really think there are moments that really do stay with you and resonate for you. And I don't think he was trying to like transform my life. I think he was just, I mean, at that moment, he wasn't like, this
Wait,
is going to be a pivotal moment
no, no, no.
any more than, yeah.
Kindly and truthfully, but obviously, but see, yeah. Oh, to be that for anyone at any given moment, right? To be able to put some
Right.
in somebody's mind and heart and think, and help them to believe something that maybe they just barely believe about themselves, right?
Yeah, hopefully. And I don't think you can plan it. Unfortunately, you can't be
No,
like,
because
on
then
Friday, I'm going to
you
say
sniff
something
it out.
inspiring to these kids.
Exactly, exactly. I am going to be particularly inspiring today. Those are probably the days you're in that.
Exactly. That's when they're like totally forgettable. They're like, oh, he was so off today.
I'm like, that lecture
But
was so boring. That was such a dull thing. You're like, I was trying to change your life, right?
well, right. And I remember when I was at school doing my master's, I was doing a rehearsal with the men's glee club that I was the assistant conductor of, and I was very under the weather. And I felt so sick during this rehearsal. And we were working on this piece, this contemporary piece. I think it's Arvo Pärt, who's this really contemporary sort of composer. And I was working on it with him, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so ill. I'm so ill. And so I ended the rehearsal. I was like, I cannot go on. We're going to stop right now after like 45 minutes instead of 90 or something.
Mhm.
And one of the students afterward, who I saw, was like, the rehearsal was going so well. You were like so brilliant that night too. Like everything. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was the furthest thing from my mind. I was just trying. So you
That is
can't plan it, I think. Yeah.
You never can tell. And honestly, sometimes it is in those moments when you're like, all I can do is show up and just like be here at like the bare minimum,
Right.
do what I think is like the bare minimum. And sometimes those are the moments when they probably see more going on in you. And I don't know, maybe
Maybe.
just
Yeah.
like perseverance to even be there at all or something. Who knows?
Yeah, because I remember him saying, like, "You were so willing to teach us," and I was like, "Wow, that's not what I was thinking at that moment at all."
You're
I
like,
was
that was
just like,
not
"Hold
really
on, just like, hold on for 5 more minutes."
just hanging on for dear life. That's hilarious. Oh my
Right.
God. Well, tell us. So yeah. So your adult life and career has been filled with conducting and also then teaching. And I mean, your music educating is another huge part of your life, right?
Yeah, for sure. It wasn't necessarily what I actually don't have a teaching certificate, so I didn't do music ed as an undergrad, but during my doctorate, I was very much in a music ed program there, and I think that sort of opened up some possibilities for me to think about that. And then I was incredibly lucky because I got my first job in the field was as the assistant conductor of the Greensboro Symphony in North Carolina.
Okay.
And I actually hadn't quite finished my doctoral degree yet. I was at the University of Miami, Florida at the time. And my teacher said, "Hey, there's this job opportunity. So can you be in North Carolina tomorrow by like, 3 o'clock or something?" So I went there and was hired for that job that included doing their youth orchestra.
Oh my God.
And so because of that, I just started working with high school kids. I really I knew nothing, basically. It's one of those jobs you think back and you're like, gosh, I can't believe they hired me because I was so green. It wasn't that I was bad. I was
Qualified. So
and I
willing.
thought if they only knew how, but there was a wonderful mentor there. The music director of the professional orchestra at the time was just a great mentor. Stuart Molina was his name, and still someone who occasionally I check in with. I've been very lucky to have some great mentors throughout, whether it was school or in professional gigs.
Oh,
And so because of that, though, we started working with high school kids as part of the professional work that I was doing.
yeah.
And then, it was one of those jobs I thought, oh, I'll do this for 2 years, maybe 3 years, but ended up staying 8. And, but then was hired out here to work with the Sequoia Symphony Orchestra, as well as I worked for the Los Angeles Philharmonic and did their youth orchestra program for 5 years too.
Yeah.
So
So
just
youth
an
orchestra
incredible.
ended up being sort of a niche you never even expected then.
Exactly, yeah. And then I did the Pasadena Youth Symphony for a while at the same time that I was doing the LA Phil's program. and then also taught in the graduate program for Bard College out here, and now I teach at the University of California, Santa Cruz. So there's always been sort of like this the music ed sort of track as well that's been going on along with the professional work I do, both with the Sequoia Symphony and also now I conduct the Adrian Symphony in Michigan, which gets me back to the Ann Arbor area, which is a lot
That's
of
so
fun.
awesome. Wait, have you visited back or not for a while, I assume?
Well, we're doing some digital content. So I was there last month and we'll go again next month just to do some recordings with them.
Yeah.
And because we're doing both the orchestras that I work for are releasing digital series. That's
Yes.
kind of, seeing a lot, kind of an explosion in that just for classical artists, kind of looking at how can I reach my audience? And I think all of us are asked as artists, we're like, if I can't give performances, what are we doing? So, and maybe you could share that link too.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, but yeah, if you could maybe share that link, because the Sequoia Symphony has a whole series that's of just digital content, and which means we're doing really, really short programs that are filmed. And what we tried to do is take advantage of what you can do with a camera that you can't do if you sit at the back of a hall. So get really close.
So it does allow people to kind of get front row seats to a lot of things that they wouldn't normally. That's one really neat thing.
For sure.
We're not going to be in that city. We're not going to be there, can see it at all, which is a pretty neat thing. Wait, so it's the Sequoia Symphony?
Sequoiasymphony.com.
And I'll also put the description below this on YouTube so that people
can. Thanks. That would be great, because that stuff is really looking amazing. And because the filmmakers we're working with are incredibly talented. And like you said, it's even better than in the front row, I think, because we're up, the camera can move, and because we had to record socially distant on stage too, there was room for camera people to get in and out of the musicians. So
it's really intimately involved
exactly
in the whole performance, which is something that you never really get exactly.
Never, right? It's actually better than I always say I have the best best seat in the orchestra because. Right. But this is even better than that because you're really in it. And what they've done is really planned it very carefully so that if the bassoon has a little line here or the cello, we see that person up close. So you're really kind of like, listen for that, which is just, I think, a great way to, again, encourage engagement with the music. And even for us, we have, a 1,200 seat hall. So even if we sell out, which we sometimes do for our pops and film concerts and things, we get 1,200 people there. But all three of our first videos that have released have gotten over 2,500 views. So we've already doubled our audience from that, which is the ability to reach out is great. My other orchestra, the Adrian Symphony, we're starting a series too, but it hasn't come out yet. So any day now that will be out there as well. But
now, was there a video that you did on your YouTube channel, I think, where I saw you talking about something and you did cut away some clips of you with the Sequoia Symphony, right? Or
probably. Yeah, I'm sure that was them, because a couple of weeks back when I was recording, and we're so excited to be able to do something, because I haven't done a concert since March.
March, I bet. March is like the big cutoff month, right? What was I going to say? And it was so amazing. I think everyone's literally in masks unless they need their mouth to play their instrument, right?
Exactly. Yeah, everyone is in masks, including me as the conductor.
Right.
And so just the wind players, they took theirs off just to play, essentially.
Yeah. Wow. It's pretty amazing. It really is. I mean, it gives me, I don't know, in those moments when I see stuff like that, it gives me just extra little hope in humanity to say, look at everyone just making their art no matter what, somehow, some way. And I don't know, it makes me feel all happy inside, just as, to see artists doing their things somehow. I love it.
I think that's part of it. Yeah, you have to figure out a way to do it. Otherwise, you're going to die. And we talked about that. It's like, well, we can there's two ways to approach it. And a lot of, I think, especially arts organizations, big ones, that have carrying costs and they're paying their musicians but not taking anything in, are like, well, do we just wait for everything to get back to normal and hope it's going to be soon, or do you decide, well, we have to embrace this? And our feeling was, particularly at this time, it's like we have to not only embrace it, but like we have to take this opportunity because we have capacity to figure out how to film. Like
Right.
we're not producing concerts every month. So our staff has some time to research how to film and who would be great partners to do that. And is it affordable? What can we afford? What could we do to
Yeah.
make something that's not just, I make this comment all the time, but to not just turn on a camera at the back of the room and do a concert,
Right.
which is not aesthetically, you're not going to watch that on your phone. You're not going to watch that on your computer in the same way. That would look really, I say this about when you see commercials for plays or
Uh-huh.
musicals, I always think they look so boring and small. And when
Right.
you're in the room, they never look that way. And
Right.
I always think, why can't they just say, look, we're not going to film the scene on stage. We're going to film a commercial, like a trailer for a
Right.
play.
Yeah.
And who cares if it looks like it does on stage?
Right.
No, it looks so small and tiny on screen.
You need to capture it for that medium, like make it
Exactly.
in here, not like trying to show how big it is if you were in the audience, because you're not. So you
Yep.
have to find a way to like bring, yeah, the
No, I
feeling.
think you said it exactly right. You said we have to capture it for that medium.
Yes, because the beauty and the amazing thing that we all miss is like the feeling of being in an audience. But like we can't get that. So we have to be like, what is the crux of that? And how can we express it this way? Like through a little, I think that's the thing.
Exactly. And who cares if it
Who cares
doesn't
if it
look,
looks the same?
yeah, if it, no one's going to care.
No,
And I think
they're not going to care at all if they click off it in 2 seconds anyway. So
exactly. Or it looks small and I think, why am I paying $75 to go see that? It looks sort of like a high school play
I
on
know.
a screen, even if it's an amazing production on a little screen. If you see the commercial for it, they just look so
If you're
small.
just seeing it from, the audience to a stage, you're right. It just doesn't capture what
So
it
I think the same way when we're making these performances, trying to figure out how to make them really engaging for the medium. So we're like, all right, we don't need to make we don't need to make a concert per se. What we
right.
need to do is make a film that's compelling of this music, and it need not necessarily be. That's why we sometimes we cut away to other things. We showcase one of the episodes is a first responders tribute, so we cut away to a bunch of essential workers and first responders in our community.
Right.
And then one of the other ones, because of the music, we cut away to some of the architecture of the theater that we perform in, because it's from the same era. So we're trying to kind of embrace those different characteristics of the music and have something to look at, not just people playing exclusively.
Right.
That's good, but not
Right.
exclusively.
But when you're not sitting in those seats, it's not the same experience. You might as well create a whole different experience that still showcases the music, which is the point, I guess. Right?
Absolutely. And I think, even with the videos I've been doing weekly, I didn't know how to do videos, but
I know.
after 2 months of not doing anything, it's like, I needed to have a creative outlet, but I
Yeah.
also think, I have communities of constituents in both the communities where my orchestras are, who would benefit maybe just from reaching out to them and saying, hey, you love classical music, I love classical music, here are some of the things I love about it. And that's kind of what I try to do. I mean, if someone was asking me what my series is about, it's mostly just me sharing the things that I love and try to do it that.
That's what I want to do. That's kind of where I get all excited too. It's just like I see somebody or read somebody or listen to something and I know somebody's awesome and talented and I'm just like, somebody else probably wants to know about them too, I mean, it's kind of as simple as just like, here's a playlist of Jordan's life. Here's what's making me happy right now. Maybe it'll make you happy too.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe, like, here's what's making me happy right now. And I have an ongoing series and it's like 5 favorite things. And
Right.
it's just like, I just keep a running thing so that, once a month or so I do, hey, this is my 5 favorite things for August. And I put out those things and I just kind of go through them. I say, oh, I saw this video here and this video here. And look what she does right here. I love that little moment. Okay, let's go on to the next one. And just, to kind of share what I love. And there's so much great fun little things going on.
There are.
Yeah.
And I have to actually rewatch my stuff and rewatch your stuff and rewatch things that do make me happy and remember. Because when I feel like, oh, life is hard, blah, 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 I have to be like, wait, you're doing this because this is what makes you happy. You're collecting interesting, wonderful, talented people to just like watch what they're doing and saying. And I'm like, Jordan, go back to that. Like it might help you on a day when you're just like, I don't remember what I like about the world. It can be hard
Yes.
sometimes. So I realize that I'm like, I have an ongoing, just like endless list. And I'm always like, the beautiful thing about, I think, what both of us are doing with these shows are like, we'll never run out. Like there's no way I'll ever
Yeah.
run out of interesting people, and you'll never run out of like interesting, cool things to find about, to appreciate about music. I
Totally. And I think people have like, they've offered, suggestions of what to do. And I think when I first set out, I thought, oh my gosh, I can do like 5 of these and then I won't know what to do next. But it just organically, it's made, it's been pretty easy. And I block out about 10 at a time, every 10 episodes. But within there, I usually have like 2 or 3 ideas before those 10 weeks have gone up. And I'll be like, oh, this week, because even the one I just did this week's, which was classical, guilty pleasures, classical movies about classical music.
Oh, yeah,
And
we'll go that in a minute too.
yeah. So, but even that just occurred to me like the day or two before that. I was like, what if I do a thing where I kind of have some of my favorite movies about classical music? And so that wasn't in my original plans. I just stick that in. And then that gave somebody who I was talking with, online about someone who was like, you didn't mention any movie about Beethoven. So I said, well, I'm going to do a whole video that's just too many movies about Beethoven. Like,
That's a great one.
and so again, kind of an interaction with, with your, I don't want to say audience, but with your community, because it really feels like it's your friends and, people that or knew, 20 years ago.
Sure. Which is fun to combine the people that you knew 20 years ago with the people you met 20 days ago or something. It's just, and I think a lot of us, there's just a lot of intersection about what we might be interested in. And so I have to remember that sometimes I just happen upon something randomly on YouTube and I'm just like, I feel like somebody made this video for me. And it's like, hopefully that they know that even if it was me and 5 other people, like that made my day that day or whatever, I think it's nice that there are people just putting stuff out. And sometimes I'm like, wow, they just speak my language and they don't even know what to do.
And I have so much respect for people that can do it, 2 or 3 times a week and find ways to do it and make it authentic. That's what I love about it. And when people have said nice things to me, the compliments that have meant the most are people, from college or something who said, I feel like when I watch the video, it's like when we used to have dinner and you would just talk and we would have this conversation. Because that's really what I'm going for is, and not that we'll necessarily, a conversation, and it may not always be deep or educational. And sometimes it's just you throw stuff out there, but something that's really authentic to me and what it would be like to come to a concert, because I always talk before a concert or before we play a piece.
Right.
And so I think I want to make it authentic to that. So if someone were to come see me live, they'd be like, oh, this is the person I met.
Yes.
Or conversely, if you've seen concerts that I've done, you're like, oh, that's who was up there.
Yeah.
Good or bad, like it or not.
But that you're you everywhere you might find you, and that
hopefully,
no, I think that's absolutely true. I feel when I happened to find you, I was just like, oh yeah, I just felt like you were so truly you, and it was so delightful and so easy to just listen to you and just delight in what you were talking about. For me.
Well, thanks. That means a great deal. Yeah, I think those are the compliments that really mean the most.
Right.
For sure.
Me too. I love that idea that well, and you know what I think is so great about you is that I think there's like people can take like a music appreciation class or talk about appreciating classical music, but I think that can sound so kind of dry and boring and required or something. And with you, I think like you take the idea of like music appreciation to such a just joyful, delightful place where you're just so like your true, genuine appreciation for music and how much you just delight in what it is you're talking about just so comes through. And it's just so fun to watch you talk about what you love, I just love
Jordan, thank you so much. That's so sweet. Yeah. Well, that's it really means a lot, because again, what I try to do is just sort of like, this is what I love about classical music, and I hope you do too, is sort of the idea of it, and certainly not make it sort of lecture-y or preachy, and because that sort of bores me. And the teachers that I had that I loved the most were those who knew all the little juicy stories behind things. And I was always like, I love that part, and sort of some of the catty little gossip about what was going on. And the other thing I think in classical music in particular, we get this sort of, reverential sort of awe about it. Like you can't talk about it.
Right.
And I'll never forget, I don't know. Am I allowed to swear on this a little bit or no?
Totally swear. Oh yeah, we're live. Go for it.
Well, it's a quote, so I just wanted to make sure I could say
Yeah.
it though. But one of our acting teachers, Sarah Jane Gwillem, do you remember her?
Yes.
I'll never forget. We were doing, I think we were studying some Shakespeare thing, and one of the things she said though is she said, you have to remember that these are real people, that these are people who woke up, they got out of bed, they took a good shit, and then they went about their day. And I've always remembered that, because I was like, wow, it was just, she said, these are very visceral people. They woke up, they took a good shit, and went about their day. And I was so taken with that, because I thought, you're right. And I think the same thing about classical music. We tend to assume, well, their music is published and it looks so perfect and it's like the Bible and you wouldn't want to touch any of it. And if you look at the way when the composer wrote it in their, scribbling hand, they cross things out, they change things. You can't even read half of it. And yet we're acting like some editor that came in 100 years later and says, I think that little slash it's a staccato marking, so it should all be staccato. And you're like, not right or wrong, but there's room to interpret it, and there's room for those. They change their mind about it. Beethoven wrote different metronome markings for different performances for the same thing. So there's not one perfect performance.
No,
and that's what I love about it. Like you may say, I'm feeling it really like slower tonight, and that's okay. Yeah. If you're in a place that maybe the acoustic is a certain way, or who knows what's happened in the world, or I think that all of those things can influence a performance, which I love about it, that it might be different. A concert might be different in 2010 than it might be in 2020, that it might be in 2030, even if it's the exact same music, just because your venue is different, your musicians are different, I'm different, the world is different. There's so many different, we all bring this experience. Yes. And I think great music and great art has something to say to many, many different times.
Oh, I love that. Ooh, that is like super quotable. But just say to so many different times. That's so true. And it's meant to be experienced in a moment in time that isn't going to be the same as it was the last time you played, right?
It's very temporal. Yeah. It's like, the difference between lyrics and poetry. I always say, like, lyrics are temporal, they exist in time. So they go by they exist here and then they're gone. And so I think as our performances as musicians and singers like yourself, it's different. You might say, oh, can we go really slow tonight? Or what if I do it down a third tonight? Because whatever.
Really too, because in my old age, I have now learned that I think for the longest time, especially in school or, high school or college, and then even in my early 20s, I would be so, because everything was about auditioning for something that's in a key and this is how it's done. And especially if you're auditioning to replace someone, like there is no changing it. There is no making it yours unless you're doing your own show. But as I've done some things or I've just like chosen to sing something for fun, I've always been like, hold up. This can be in any key that feels right to me today, like not even whatever felt
exactly
years ago or 10 days ago. And I'm always like, wow, it's so freeing to realize that, like, instead of being so tied to like, this is how this is done only ever, to make stuff sound best for me. It's just like, picking clothes that look good. Are you there?
Yep.
Oh yeah. I don't know. We just went black for me. I was just like, I don't know. It was like the universe was like, dun, dun, dun. I don't know. Something was going on, but anyway, all is well. Anyway, so yeah, no. So I think that is really important to remember that it's a moment in time. And
well, I love what you said about how it's like it's right for you today, and it might be. And I love to see artists who do a song. One of my sort of cliches is when a singer says, I've been singing this song for a lot of years. But I do think there's some truth in that. You say, well, when I sang the song when I was 25, it might be different than when I sing it when I'm, 35, or in the future when someone sings it, oh, I'm 65, maybe it's going to mean something different to me as a singer, but also to you as an audience too.
Right, for sure. I realized I did, oh my gosh, when you said that, it just touched my heart to realize that I sang a little duet with another young woman that I did an interview with. We did Dear Theodosia,
Oh,
and I realized as I was singing, there is so much more inside me now. I was like, oh, there is so much more inside me now. If I was singing this in college, I would have like tried to sing it pretty, or I would have tried to understand what I was saying.
right.
But I'm like, 3 kids later and all this time and in this particular moment, I was like, oh my gosh, that meant something so different to me than college, Jordan, and that was pretty neat to discover. I thought, oh my gosh, yes,
Yeah, I think that's so true. And there's, as we age and we do come at things so differently, it means something more
yeah.
to not, I don't want to say better, but deeper,
I
I
mean,
think for
sometimes,
sure. Yeah.
right, but it is
Yeah.
there's sometimes things that, yeah, we just have a deeper, I don't know, experience with or something. Yeah. And I love that. And yeah, when you were talking about how lyrics are temporal, it made me think of Sondheim and just like how everything is just like a moment. Like if
Right.
life is made of moments, but it is, I think,
But it is right. Yeah. Then
I
you'd never know you had one.
yes. I know. So we sometimes have to kind of like look at how, oh, we're having a moment, but also just life keeps going by and the moments keep happening.
Right. You kind of don't know until you look back, I guess, in some ways. Well, even with those teachers we were talking about, they
In
had no
that
idea I
moment,
was
that
singing.
wasn't some bing thing for you in the moment, maybe, but
Right.
it
But
was.
it stayed with me late, and I thought back to, that, and
Yeah.
what what a moment that someone else remembered was, I think you moved to Chicago with us after undergrad, right? We all lived in Chicago
Yes,
together.
and I did the Spirit cruises. Did you?
Yes, totally.
Oh my
I
gosh,
did
they're
that
amazing.
because I lived with Jeff Schubart and Ryan Baylor.
Oh my god,
The three
yes.
of us stayed together. But I remember the first night we were there, um, I was we watched the show. Remember, there was like you were a singing waiter. Basically, you're
Yes.
on a boat in Lake Michigan that would go out every night, and you were a waiter, and you also did a little show,
Oh my
a
god.
little tragic show,
It was like
and
turn the beat around, like
that's
stuff
what,
like that.
yes, that was one of them. And then there was Caribbean night too.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. We shall say, Tony winner Gavin Creel was also on that show, on that with us.
My gosh.
So hey, people went on from that to do great things.
Yes,
Um,
indeed.
but the very first night we were there, we watched the show that we were going to do. We were just like following people, like shadowing or whatever.
Oh.
And I don't want to call this person out without their permission, but I turned to the person I was with, who was also graduated with us and everything, and I said, "We have hit rock bottom." And he said back to me a couple years later, he said, "I will never forget that you said that, because you said it as only you can say it, which is you said it as a good thing. You were like, there is nowhere to go but from here but up. Like we will never have a worse job than this. Like it is truly only going to get better." And
Oh,
I
I
thought,
love that you remembered that as you being like, hey, people, we're on the up and up. Because
that's right. It will never get any worse. This is our first job. Like we were right out of school. I was like, this is literally the beginning of our story.
that's
But
hilarious.
apparently I said, yeah, we have hit rock bottom.
Well, that's not the worst thing ever then, to hit the rock bottom kind of at the beginning. You
Totally.
you know what, that's the time to do it, rather than like when you're like, oh, I had the most amazing career and now life sucks. Like we can
Right. But even then, if you're at a rock bottom, and I think it's one of those things, as we said, with age, someone says, well, you might say, I'm at rock bottom. But when you're older, you might have a different perspective. And you hear that, oh, it's on like a little poster. Like, if you hit rock bottom, you have only up to go.
like
But I think once you've lived it, you're like, you know what? There actually is truth in that, for sure.
no
There
truth.
really is only up to go from there, and that certainly was the case with me. I mean,
That
I've
is a
been
good,
very lucky and very blessed, but
right.
but
But that's fantastic. I
that
love
is what happened.
Oh my gosh, that is so wild. I mean, I didn't forget about that entirely, but it's so funny how like putting all these things together. Oh my gosh,
Right.
yes.
Because I have
Oh,
so many memories of working with you too. Like you sang that song from "It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman." Um,
wait, is that You've Got Possibilities?
yes,
Oh
you've
my
got
gosh,
possibilities.
well, you're
Yeah,
doing a lot.
I can remember playing you, accompanying you for
Oh,
that. And I don't know if you remember, I was the music director for Baby. So when you
yes, I
sang
thought that's what
"Story
you
Goes
were
On,"
going to say.
yeah, I've always remembered you singing "Story Goes On."
Oh my gosh. Talk about knowing so much more now. That was before any of these babies. Who
Right.
my first baby just turned 16. 16.
That's
And
crazy.
um yeah,
So
I
do you feel differently about those lyrics in that show?
so
Because in
much.
some way, that show is about three different mothers at three
Yes,
different stages of life. One brand new,
yes.
one toddler or something, and one sort of divorcee, right? Or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
Or
it's like 3 people find out they're pregnant, and I think it's like the 20-year-olds who are still in college, which is when I was, and then the middle ones who are like in their 30s and are dying to have a baby and having trouble, and then the ones in their 40s who I'm now 2 years older than the oldest couple, who I used to be like, "Oh my gosh, the 43-year-old, like, geek,"
yeah,
find out that she's pregnant, and now I'm like, older than her, but hopefully could still play the middle one.
of course. Yes, definitely, no question. So, but do you feel differently about those
Oh
lyrics
my
and
gosh,
things?
yes. And it also is so interesting though. I look back and think how much I sort of also just sort of in my guts knew. Oh my gosh, literally I'm looking at this. For some reason I have a CD of Baby sitting right here. I don't know
Of
why I have
course you
it. Like,
do.
that is so cute and weird. Because it was like in the car one time and I was like revisiting it. Um,
Yay.
but I think I always knew without really knowing, like I had no words to describe how much I sort of knew like motherhood was going to be so significant to me. And so I think that show I always wanted to just sing it. Like I think in some ways, teenage Jordan just wanted to like belt out Story Goes On because that's fun. But I think there was always like some gut part of me too that like loved that show in like a different than normal college kind of way that just sort of said, this means so much to me and I don't even know exactly why. Like I understand intellectually that I'll want to be a mom someday, but I think Mom Jordan has been a particularly creative, happy Jordan, actually. And I think somehow back then I had like a kernel of wisdom about how important that was going to be to me, but still at the time I was still just singing it as like a 19-year-old who was like I just want to sing the cool song too. So yes, how much that has changed for me is wild and interesting, and I guess just cool how life works out.
That's
uh,
really special, I think, for sure. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, my mom's saying, listening to you singing The Story Goes On as your mother, and she's always says your words cannot go. She just loves like
Oh, that's
words cannot
nice.
go for her. How deep that is in her heart too. Wait, you have a son too. Wait. Tell me,
Yeah.
Court.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's older now. He's 21. He just turned 21
oh
over the
my
summer.
gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it goes
That's
fast.
impossible too, because you're just seem like such a wee tot that could not have a 21-year-old. That's incredible.
Right. Well, and he was adopted a little bit older, so I kind of always say, and I know his mother a bit as well. So, but I have said, thanks for doing that whole diaper part and all that.
Oh
But
my gosh, that is nice. How very nice.
yes,
Wow, but then also just like you didn't get to grow, because I always remember saying to my mom when I was about to have our first, I was like, I've never been so unprepared for something that's important in my whole life. Like, how am I supposed to just one day have no idea how to do this and the next day? And she always said, he's not going to come out 10. He's going to, like, he'll just be a day and then 2 days and you'll figure only him out. You won't have to figure out all babies. And I was like, oh, okay, that'll help. But it sounds like you did have someone already, a more of a whole human, enter like.
yeah, I met him when he was like 9, I think. So,
Oh,
um, yeah, and he was just great. I loved him to death right away. But so I agree, and I've said to him though, I would love to. I said I would love to have like one day with you when you were like 5, and go to and take you to like Disneyland or something. I was like, even if you cried the whole day, for one day, I think that would be great. Just to be like the dad of a toddler in that sense for one day, like just to taste it.
Yeah.
I
And
was
then
like,
you're
I
like,
don't
"Oh,
need
I'll be happy to go
that.
back."
I'm happy to go back. He's very independent and smart and like
Yeah.
incredibly responsible and disciplined. Like he's all these wonderful things. But we joke about it frequently. I'm like, just
Yeah.
one day to like carry him, you know?
Take
Yeah,
this miserable weeping you around and
exactly.
figure
And he
out
still says, like, he hugs me, he'd be like, carry me, carry me. And it's like,
aw,
you weigh more than I do. I can't carry you.
I know, that's wild. Wow, it's so fascinating. But again, yeah, I mean, life crazy things that you don't know ahead of a time. I always say too, because he has three major allergies that always been so responsible about too. Our oldest one, in the next room, probably laughing at me like, "Mom, what are you talking about?" But I always thought, like, if someone told me before having him, on top of the fact that I was like, I feel like I just don't know what I'm doing, period. If they were like, and also he's going to be allergic to milk, egg, and peanuts, and this and this and this, and he's going to like this, and you're not going to know anything about, I would have been like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not signing up for that. So I think sometimes it's good to be in the dark about our future enough so that we,
Well,
go.
like you said, though, you meet each challenge like day to day,
Yeah,
and kind of like, well, okay, I'm going to deal with this today because that's all I have to deal with today.
right.
Because remember,
Yeah.
we were going to do this interview 2 weeks ago, but you were like, I've got parent teacher conferences, so much going on, like
And like
let's reschedule.
I was like, I'm just gonna be honest. I was like, I'm freaking out. I'm feeling kind of like I am not so happy right now. And I was like, since I get to decide this, since we get to decide this, how about we don't have an interview today? Which is lovely. It's nice to just
Yeah, it worked out fine.
I'm a grown up. I'm going to make this choice and not feel like, oh no, 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 I can't do it. Oh my gosh. Meanwhile, I'm getting literally a text from my daughter who's saying, Mom, can you pick me up? So I think I'm going to pick her up from her socially distanced hangout in a few minutes. But oh my gosh, wait. So I just want to play just like a minute of you. Let's see here. I'm going to share the screen and we'll have just a bit of. Bruce on yes, classical movie moments. Wait, here we go. Wait.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 21 of my musical moment series. Today we are talking about guilty pleasures, some of my favorite movies about classical music. That's right, so today, guilty pleasures, some of those favorite movies about classical music. And I say guilty pleasures because these are not necessarily great movies across the board. They're just movies that I enjoy, sometimes because they're great, sometimes because maybe they're trying to be great. I don't know. But
oh wait, I'm sorry. That's abrupt, but there's just a little taste for people about
Oh, thank you.
Bruce's show, and it's so all as everyone can see, and as we've talked about today, he's just so fun and delightful as he talks about things that other people
Oh, thank
just
you.
so dry and sort of overly reverent about, where
Right.
there's no fun involved. And like, what are the juicy details behind stuff that may be beautiful and wonderful and glorious, but also, I don't know, it's fun to talk about sometimes the nitty gritty of,
Yeah, I like some of that, just like, and try to make it alive. Again, what I love about it, and sometimes a little like somebody commented once because I referred to this Beethoven piece as I was like, it's really trashy, but I love it. And they were like, I love it. You said that about like a classical piece. You don't think, because it's not his most serious work. It's just kind of like nobody knows what it is, kind of a big mess. And I was like, it's really kind of trashy, but I love it.
We need more of that, where people are able to just be like, it's trashy but great Beethoven. I love it. That's good fun. I love that. Well,
yeah, good fun.
Yay! Oh my gosh! And I didn't even do that. You just it was so much fun talking to you. So whatever we didn't do, I don't care, because it was so fun to just
for sure
you and appreciate music with you. And maybe at some point also, I know I had said this is Discover Me TV. There is somebody that Bruce also recommends that we check out, because I was saying I'd love to, for anyone I'm sort of discovering or inviting other people to discover, I'd love to hear, who they're discovering and who they're interested in right now, as we're talking about. And tell us somebody that you think is just a really talented, wonderful up and comer here.
Yeah, absolutely. In the past year, I've had the pleasure of working with a pianist that is a new collaborator for me, someone I didn't get to work with before. And his name is Dominic Cayley, and he's from St. Louis, but now lives here in Los Angeles. And he's just a wonderful, wonderful young pianist, a relatively recent graduate of the Colburn School, which is like the new Juilliard of the West, really.
Oh, wow.
And oh yeah, it's a really fantastic school, and tuition free. If you get in, there's no tuition because you know, they don't ever want that to be a barrier. And it's an incredible school of music. It's new-ish, you know, 10, maybe a little more, over 10 years, but not that, you know, not one of those 100 years old sort of back east Curtis or Juilliard type schools. So out here, but just fantastic, and really like making a big splash for the students and the faculty that are there. And he attended there, and just a great, great pianist and a wonderful guy. And that's, you know, I always say, like, I love working with people that not only are great musicians, but are just great people that you want to talk to and hang out with, you know, like this.
Yes.
You want someone who you can work with, but also want to be social with too, and really has something to say. And so I highly recommend Dominic. He's a great guy, and he's been doing a lot of online concerts, and so you can see him. He does some lecture recitals where he plays a little and then talks, and has some some visual aids as well.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Speaking of visual aids, I'm going to share the couple pictures you sent. I think
oh, thanks. Yeah.
This. Wait, let's see here. It's sharing my
oh, there he is. Yeah, look at him.
Here he is. Yeah. So wait, can you see this? Am I?
Yeah.
Okay. So here he is. Look at these cool.
Yes. Oh, and there's a shot of him playing. Yeah. So great pianist, and you know, he's got lots of does, like, I don't know, Ironman races and stuff. So he's just got a lot going on, and a really endlessly interesting guy. So I hope you will check him out. And certainly, like I said, he has a lot of like things online of him playing and working and various things. So
nice. Oh, I'm so excited to get to meet him too. So I'm going to check him out too. And I hope anybody watching this now or later in a replay will check him out as well. And please enjoy more from Bruce on his YouTube channel and anywhere else you might find him. You've got like a website probably too and stuff.
Yeah, it says BruceAnthonyKiesling.com. If you check that out, I have a website there, and you can see all links to all my videos and everything as well.
Yes, and now I'm going to be a mom and say, be right there to my daughter. Sorry.
Yes, and I hope that you'll say hi to your husband too. You know, he and I met when we were in high school, so we have known each other since then.
Go further back. Yes. Yeah, and Matt also wrote somewhere along here in the chat, "Go Blue." So that's for Michigan peeps. Well, this has just been absolutely delightful. My daughter saying, "Okay, thanks. That's good." She knows that I haven't forgotten her. Multitasking people, just YouTubing and then going back to my children. So yay. Bruce, this has been such a delight. So many.
Thank you so much for having me, and for noticing the videos that I did, and for all the work that you do too, because I've enjoyed your series immensely, especially your duets. I love to, like, it's great to hear your voice again. And
would you ever want to do a duet? I don't mean to put you on the spot. Are you like?
I'm not going to sing with you, but I could play maybe or something.
Oh, well, that's interesting. I like that too. So, well, we'll. This is to be continued. I'm sure we can follow up at some point too. And
I hope so. Yeah. And since you're in Los Angeles, greater Los Angeles, right?
Yeah. I'm in Burbank. Yeah.
So once we're in Atwater Village, so we're very close. So once quarantine ends, yes,
there's gonna be some hugs involved in
exactly. Once we all get penicillin or whatever,
I know, vaccinated and then
vaccination. That's what I was like. We're not gonna get infected. What do they call it? The thing. The thing.
Put the thing in you so you can hug. Yeah.
Yes. I think it's the thing for hugging.
That's not right, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
Excellent.
To that point. Well, this has been so much fun. I know, even though you're right here around the corner, I'm glad that we were still able to do it this way. And this was just
definitely.
I will make sure now this will, after being live, this will now just be on my channel for anyone watching and whoever discovers us. And I will put down in the description below any of the things that we talked about, links to some stuff and some of these wonderful things you can watch of Bruce, Sequoia, and what's the Michigan one again? I'm so sorry.
The Adrian Symphony. That's adriansymphony.org. So you can check that out too.
Excellent. Thank you. So
thank you so much.
Good times. And we'll just hopefully talk again soon then.
I hope so, yeah.
Wait, every Monday you put out a new video?
Yes, my new episodes come out every Monday. And then the streaming concerts that we do are Fridays for the Sequoia Symphony, and they will be on Sundays from the Adrian Symphony.
Great. And I'm trying to commit to a time, and I think maybe my Wednesday. So you might be able to watch something Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday.
Every day we have content. Yeah.
So thank you, everybody, for watching us, whether you're watching it right this minute or watching it some other time and you've happened upon us. I hope that it's been a fun time for you too. We've had so much fun talking. So thank you, Bruce.
Thank you, Jordan. Take care.
All right, you too. Bye.
Bye.
End broadcast.